get it in the reservoir. Make sure you don't overload it, just tap it gently on the side. Make sure it's covered. What I mean by the reservoir is this. See the nib? There's like a little hole there, that's where the reservoir is, and there's a circular shape, a circular indent, and that's the reservoir, and that's what holds the ink. So make sure there's plenty of ink in the reservoir. Oh, I sound all posh, oh god. You just go around the edges. Another good technique is to turn the paper around. I'm not going to do that just yet. I want to keep you sane for a bit before I make you dizzy. But as this one is do not adjust your computer screens. It's just me turning it around. Gives it a very Fleischer-esque quality with thick lines and thin lines. And all that good stuff. Thankfully I'm doing all the mistakes on the black parts. Just the solid black parts. So I can hide up all my cock-ups. Or lack of cock-ups. Oh ho ho, see what I did there? Girls can be filthy too, you know. Now after you've done all your outlines, it's time to swap your nib for something a bit thinner. Now I've got these two, but I think I'm going to use this one, as I'm a bit more used to it. My other one was a very recent purchase. I only got it yesterday, along with my big Fleischer-esque ink bottle. We've got that into place. We can commence the inking process. I'd usually be turning it around at this point, but as I want to show you. Don't be afraid to use quick strokes. It does take a bit of practice. But it's the only way to get your lines to taper. That's when they go like thick and then they go a bit thin at the end. I actually had a really hard time coming up with a design for this character, Mr. Windsor. Because I wanted him, you know, to be an old man, but I wanted to make him cute somehow. I don't know. Maybe because I can't draw old guys. But anyway, I just racking my brain trying to think of a design. I just, you know, couldn't think of one, so I sat down to watch some old Fleischer cartoons, and then it just stuck. It just, you know, my inspiration. So I made him a black and white character, and it just, you know, just went from there. And he's very, even though he's old, he's quite young in his ways and rubber hosey. Very old school, but even more lively than the kids that he teaches. I'd also like to point out that Mr. Windsor is the only character I have that only has 4 fingers. All the rest of them are freaks of the cartoon world. They had 5. The only thing difficult about designing a fully black and white character is where the blacks and whites are going to go. Because back in the day, when they had no colour, they had to design them like very precisely so they'd read good against the screen. So that's basically what I had to do with old Windy Windsor. Now that he's all mostly inked and all that nonsense, it's time to fill in the black parts. For the big parts, I usually use a simple watercolour brush. It's important not to overload the brush with ink either. Make sure you wash it straight afterwards. As you can see, it's gone a bit grungy. Wash it afterwards because it can ruin your brush. Basically the same deal as the nib, except it's a bit more flexible if you've broken it in properly. And you see when you've got the line there, it's best to leave a little bit of white so that you know it's a crease. That's the only difficult thing about colouring completely black and white characters. But with practice, you can get really good. It's all worthwhile in the end, just to try out some new mediums. Because, you know, pens, I like using pens like this, you know. This Unipin fine line. I like using these when I'm not doing like work like this. When I can't be bothered to use my dipping pen. But I don't think you get the same, you know, effect as a dip pen. But I do recommend these. These are really good. And there we go, the finished product. Ready to administer a caning. I say, good show. Note from matron? Rather.